What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. In this video, I'm going to do a full breakdown on how I overcame my toxic relationship with food and saw even better results without having to track my macros. Not only am I going to break down how I did it and how I overcame that, but I'm also going to break down how I'm helping other people do it now. So make sure you stay until the end of the video so that you don't miss anything. Before we get into the breakdown, I wanted to give you some context on where I started. In 2017, I was a couple years into CrossFit. I had no idea how to make progress without tracking, weighing, and measuring all of my food. I had zero food confidence in social settings, and I was in the all-in or all-out mentality. Now I'm completely confident in the food choices that I make. I know what types of food to eat and how much of them I need to eat to get the results that I want. I was shocked with the results I was getting, being less restrictive with my diet and not weighing and measuring anything. I knew I needed to show other people how to ditch the tracking apps and get awesome results, so that's exactly what I did. This is Zane, who wanted to lean out while improving his strength. He not only crushed some PRs, but also gained 4 pounds of skeletal muscle mass. This is Savannah. She came to us completely burnt out by trying all these different fad diets that weren't working and were super time consuming. We showed her how to get results easier without all the weighing, measuring, and logging of food that was super time consuming because she was working 60 plus hours a week. This is Daniel, a 6-year-old CrossFit athlete that wasn't sure how to ditch the tracking apps and get sustainable results, especially because he was traveling so much for work. Now, he's seeing numbers on the scale that he hasn't seen in 10 years. Now that you know a little bit more about the people that I help and got to see some of their results, I want to tell you a little bit more about who I am and how I even got here. So I started CrossFit back in 2015. And when I started, the tone around nutrition was very much that you need to be tracking, weighing, and measuring everything that you eat in order to see results inside of the gym and also just in your physique in general. And so to be transparent with you, that's exactly what I did. I weighed and measured and tracked everything into MyFitnessPal for 4 years straight. Now, when I say I tracked everything that I ate, I do mean everything. So the almond milk in my coffee, sauces, literally if it couldn't be tracked, I didn't eat it. Over the years of tracking and weighing and measuring everything that I was eating for 4 years, it gave me this all in or all out mentality when it came to food. This also bled into my social life. I felt like I couldn't go out with friends or go have dinner with my family because I couldn't track the meals as precisely. And in my head at that time, I felt like if I didn't track it right, then I wasn't going to get any results. And then it was all for nothing. As I'm sure you can imagine, the obsession that I had with tracking led to this very negative relationship with food. I felt like whenever I was tracking my macros, everything had to be perfect. If it wasn't perfect, it was a bad day and I wasn't going to see any results in and outside of the gym. And then if I wasn't tracking any food, I was just binge eating all of the food because the next day I was going to go back to being healthy. All these restrictions that I was giving myself around food just made the all in or all out mentality even worse as the years went on. So without further ado, let's start breaking down this process. To make sure you're getting the right amounts of the right foods, we need to know things like your age, whether you're a male or a female, and your current weight as well as your goal weight. We also need to know things like your activity level. How many times are you working out per week? What do those workouts actually look like? From there, the next step is we need to get really, really clear on what your goals are. We need to get as specific as possible. And then we need to calculate your TDEE, or your total daily energy expenditure. Now, this is all funneling down to finally get us what we need for building out our plan. Once we define all of these factors, it is going to give us our protein, carbs, and fats. That's going to give us our total calories. Work with me here. I'm not so great with the pen. Calories, all right, that we're going to need to eat to hit our goal every single day. So how we're going to do this without having to track and log food. So we have our calories. This is the total of our protein, our carbs, and our fat. And we get those total calories because every gram of protein and carbs is 4 calories, every gram of fat is 9 calories. Now, what we're gonna do is use things like the palm of our hand, the last digit of our thumb, to get the portion sizes for our protein, carbs, and fat sources based off of what our goals are, how many meals we're having, etc. From there, we need to decide how many meals we're having per day and how many of those protein, carbs, and fats we're having in each and every meal. Now, most people are going to eat about 5 times a day. So that's 3 meals and 2 snacks. So let's start with breakfast. We're going to use a little B here. So this is all going to depend on your schedule. Are you training in the morning? Are you headed to the office in the morning? Your schedule is going to be a factor that determines how big or small your meal should be throughout the day. From there, we have your proteins, your carbs, and your fat sources. All right, bear with me as I attempt to draw my hand here. So we're going to use things like the palm of your hand and the end digit of your thumb to portion out what we need to get in those ranges of our protein, carbs, and fats instead of weighing, measuring, and doing all of that extra time-consuming BS. So for a quick example, based off of who you are, what your goals are, what's your schedule, how many meals you're eating per day. Let's say for lunch, you figure you need about 25 grams of a protein source. So if we have chicken as our protein source, we know that a palm-sized serving of chicken is roughly going to be about 25 grams. Now, it might be 24, it might be 26. It's not really going to matter. What matters is that we get within about 10% of that number very consistently. Now we're gonna do that for all 3 macronutrients, so protein, carbs, and fats. And we're gonna do that for our snacks. So we have breakfast, a snack, and then a lunch, then maybe another snack before we actually get to dinner. If we're consistently getting these portion sizes of our proteins, our carbs, and our fat source, that's going to make us get in that range that we need for our calories. Now, what we're focusing on for these is really 2 things. It is quality plus the quantity or how much of these whole foods that we're getting on a really consistent basis. Now, if you come from tracking macros for really any amount of time in the past, then you understand that once we get the right amount of the right types of food on a really consistent basis, that's when we start seeing awesome changes. The best part about this is, one, we are visually making sure that we're getting in within certain ranges, making sure that we're focusing on quality and quantity. And once you have your meal map set up so that your protein, carbs, and fats all have the right portions that are in the right times of day based off of your schedule, based off of your goals, then it is super, super simple to execute. So once your meal map is built out, you know what portions of what macronutrient you need to be getting at each meal in order to see results and hit your goals. We're going to add the magic factor, which is time, right? Time to be consistent. And because this is so simple and it fits right into your schedule when work is hectic or the kids are crazy or whatever is going on in your life, you're able to stick to it, unlike logging and tracking everything that you eat. So now you know how we get people such awesome results without having to weigh and measure and log all of their food. So we have 2 options. You can be part of the 99% of people that are going to watch this video just like you are and decide, not now, I'm going to push it off. They're not going to take action, and they're honestly probably not going to do anything about it. You could be part of the 1% like Savannah and Daniel and Zane, who decided to take action and invest in their health so that they can learn how to get these awesome results without having to rely on tracking macros. So if you're an action taker that's willing to invest in your health, you're tired of the endless tracking and weighing and measuring, and you want to improve your relationship with food, go ahead and click the link in the description below. We'll hop on a call. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to be, and what it looks like to get there together.